Hello, and welcome to Reality TV News Update, where you'll find the most recent news, entertaining moments, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. The reality star died late last year after suffering a series of cardiac arrests. Big Brother's Mickey Lee has struggled to hold back tears while reflecting on her legacy in her final interview before her sudden death. The television star competed in Big Brother Season 27, which aired just a few months before her tragic death. Mickey gave her final interview with host Jayla Rocks of the Reality Redefined podcast before she passed away. The Eerie episode was released on Wednesday, in which the late TV personality spoke about the impact she hoped to have left on the community. As we leave, what do you hope people will remember most about your energy in this world? The host inquired. I really hope that people remember the most that I made them feel seen, Mickey stated. I want people to feel that I brought warmth and intention wherever I went. At the bottom of it all, at the end of the day, I was just real. I might have said something that they didn't want to hear, but at least I was honest, I was direct, and I was transparent. And that at the very least, I made places where individuals could show up as their true, authentic selves when there was nowhere else for them to go, Mickey continued. I think that's the most important thing I want people to remember about me. At the end, Mickey admitted she was holding back some tears after the intimate conversation, during which she got vulnerable about her journey on reality TV. In the comment section of the YouTube video, fans expressed their thoughts on the posthumous episode. The last question posed was a great question. I was over here agreeing with everything in her response, which was spot on. She was always real and definitely created a safe environment. Mickey is unique, one person wrote. This just breaks my heart. I still can't believe she's gone. I love to see a black woman like myself on my favorite TV show. Authenticity like that. Wow, another person added. May she rest in peace. Wow, that last question. Chills, a third replied. Mickey died in late December after suffering a series of cardiac arrests following complications from the flu. A resurfaced live feed clip shortly thereafter revealed that Mickey's co-star, Ava Pearl, had predicted her death through a palm reading, shocking fans. Mickey and Season 27 winner Ashley Hollis were seen laughing about the reading with their co-stars Morgan Pope and Vince Pinaro. After arguing in the house, Ashley later admitted that she tried to contact Mickey via text to make amends, but she did not specify whether or how Mickey responded. Mickey was the first house guest who didn't make the jury in the most recent Big Brother season, and the 8th house guest to be kicked out. A GoFundMe created by Mickey's family in early December revealed that the Florida native was rushed to the hospital and was in the intensive care unit after falling seriously ill. Mickey's family later confirmed on her Instagram page that she died on Christmas Day at the age of 35. The studio lights were softer than usual that afternoon, diffused through pale curtains that turned the room a gentle gold. It was supposed to be a straightforward look back, a nostalgic conversation with Mickey Lee, a former Big Brother house guest, about her season and the memorable moments that made her a fan favorite. Something far more significant would take its place instead, a final conversation that now feels like a goodbye she somehow knew she had to say. Mickey showed up early, dressed simply in jeans, a cream sweater, and a mug of tea rather than coffee. She introduced each member of the crew by name after requesting a list of the production staff in advance. The team was taken aback by the act, but it set the tone right away. This wasn't going to be a typical reality TV interview. She laughed as the cameras started rolling. She made the admission, while slightly swaying in her chair, I'm more nervous now than I was walking into the house. At least in the house you didn't know what you were getting into. Now I know exactly how truthful I must be. Mickey Lee first appeared on Big Brother years earlier, entering as a relatively unknown contestant who quickly stood out for her warmth and emotional openness. While others planned alliances and blindsides, Mickey became the house's confidant, listening, comforting, and occasionally breaking down under the pressure of constant surveillance. She talked about the moment she entered those famous doors in the interview. "I thought it was a game about competition," she said. "I had no idea it was actually a mirror. That house shows you who you are when you can't hide from yourself." She lost a little of her smile. She stated, "Some days I didn't like what I saw." Throughout the conversation, she spoke candidly about arguments she had during her season, including one particularly painful falling out with a close ally. Fans had debated it for years, but Mickey didn't avoid the topic. She said quietly, "I carried guilt about that for a long time. My choices were dictated by fear of being by myself and going home. I wish I had chosen kindness first instead of strategy." The interviewer inquired about the difficult aspect of the experience. She paused and exhaled deeply. She responded, "The nighttime silence. Competitions and fights are thought to be the most difficult times, but this is the moment when everything comes to an end. Despite being in a room full of people, you feel completely alone lying there. That is how you get in touch with your true thoughts." Her voice trembled. "You can't escape yourself there." The set had stopped moving, crew members later found, concerned they might distort the fragile honesty that was taking place in front of them. Even the camera operators appeared reluctant to move. Mickey explained that life after the show had been unexpectedly difficult. She acknowledged she struggled to comprehend who she was outside of the person viewers believed they knew, and that fame came quickly but did not last forever. "People loved me," she said softly, "but they adored me, a 40-minute episode version of me. I had to figure out who I was without diary rooms or music cues." She described dealing with anxiety and the pressure to always appear cheerful in public. "You don't want to disappoint the people who supported you, so you smile even when you are exhausted. I realized that being strong meant not pretending that everything was okay." Over time, she stepped away from the spotlight. She volunteered, spent time with her family, and quietly mentored new reality contestants to help them deal with the sudden attention. "That part mattered most to me," she explained, "helping someone else avoid the mistakes I made." The interviewer then asked a straightforward question. "What do you want to be your legacy?" For a long time, Mickey looked at her hands from below. Her final words were barely audible above a whisper. She stated, "I don't want to be remembered for drama. I want to be known for my growth." Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't wipe them away immediately. "I made mistakes in front of millions of viewers on television. Sincerely, I am grateful because I needed to confront them. I needed to get better." She continued, this time with more emotion. "If someone watched me and realized they could forgive, apologize, or start over, my time there meant something." A producer later said this was the moment the interview changed. What had begun as entertainment history evolved into a profoundly personal examination. The interviewer asked her if she would ever return to reality television near the end. Mickey gave her head a gentle shake as she smiled. She stated, "I already got what I needed from it. It gave me perspective. It showed me that connection and attention are not the same thing. Real life, quiet life, is actually the reward." She hesitated before adding, "I am finally content with who I am." When the filming was over, she didn't run away. She gave the interviewer a big hug, thanked the camera crew, and even helped gather the wire for her microphone. Before leaving, she turned back and waved one last time, saying, "Take care of each other, okay?" Only days later, news of her death stunned fans and former house guests alike. Tributes quickly flooded social media. Contestants related stories of late-night conversations, encouraging messages she sent during trying times, and unannounced phone calls to check in. She was often referred to as the season's emotional heart and as someone who valued people more than games. A statement from the producers also paid tribute to her kindness behind the scenes. She would stay after live shows to personally thank audience coordinators and security guards, staff reported.
Online, the final interview clips quickly went viral. Viewers noticed that she had been reflective, not sad, but thoughtful, as if she had accepted herself. Fans were particularly moved by one line. She said in the show's final moments, "Life after the show taught me that being understood is more important than being famous, and that being kind lasts longer than winning." For many viewers, Mickey Lee was a rare example of authenticity on reality television. In a competitive environment, she allowed herself to be vulnerable. She cried openly, forgave publicly, and acknowledged her flaws instead of hiding them. She never won the grand prize, but in the years that followed her season, she achieved a different kind of victory, a genuine connection with individuals who saw a part of themselves in her journey. In the final seconds of the interview, just before the cameras stopped recording, she gave a small
Fans of Big
smile.
Brother are mourning the heartbreaking loss of beloved former house guest Mickey Lee, whose passing has sent shockwaves through the reality TV community. Just days before her death, Lee sat down for what would unknowingly become her final interview, a deeply emotional conversation now remembered for its haunting tone and her tearful reflections about life, mistakes, and the legacy she hoped to leave behind. The interview, which was recorded in a quiet studio with a small production team present, was originally intended to be a retrospective that honored Big Brother's past. Instead, it has taken on a far more powerful meaning. After seeing the footage, viewers say the moment now feels almost prophetic. Mickey Lee, who rose to fame during her unforgettable season of the competition series, had long been considered one of the most genuine personalities ever to enter the house. She was real, even though she wasn't the loudest strategist or the most ruthless rival. She gained a devoted following of fans who remained with her long after the cameras stopped rolling, thanks to her openness, sense of humor, and emotional honesty. Lee showed signs of emotion right from the start of the interview. She admitted, at first with a soft smile, that she frequently had difficulty comprehending why people were so moved by her story. "I never thought I'd matter to anyone outside that house," she said, pausing as her voice trembled. "I was just a regular girl who got put into a really strange situation." She became more reflective and more open as the conversation went on. She talked about the intense mental and emotional pressure of being watched 24 hours a day while wiping away tears at one point. "You don't realize how much it changes you," Lee explained. "The game is seen by people. They observe the alliances and conflicts, but what they don't see is the silence at night, when you're alone with your thoughts and wondering who you really are without cameras." Later, crew members reported that as she spoke, the room became very still, and even the interviewer had trouble continuing without becoming emotional. Lee acknowledged that during her season, she did not always make the right choices. She addressed controversial moments, arguments with other house guests, strategic betrayals, and emotional breakdowns with unusual honesty. She stated, "I hurt people in there. I've privately apologized to some of them, and I wish I could have handled things differently in the past. However, that house brings every feeling to the surface. It shows you your best self and your worst self at the same time." Then came the moment that, according to fans, is particularly chilling. Lee paused for a while when asked how she wanted to be remembered. She stared downward, folding her hands tightly before answering. "I don't want to be remembered as a player," she said quietly. "I wish to be remembered as a learner, a person who matured after making mistakes. It was worth it if I helped even one person feel less alone." Her eyes filled with tears. "I think people come into your life for a reason, even strangers watching you through a screen. We're all just trying to be understood." Those present during the recording later recalled that Lee appeared unusually reflective, not sad exactly, but deeply contemplative. After filming ended, she reportedly hugged several crew members and thanked them individually. She took her time saying goodbye, according to a later account from a production assistant. A genuine farewell, not merely a wave. In a way I couldn't explain at the time, it felt meaningful. Fans and fellow reality stars alike were astonished to learn of her passing just a few days later. Social media quickly filled with tributes from former house guests across multiple seasons, many of whom described Lee as kind, thoughtful, and far more introspective than audiences ever fully saw on television. She regularly privately checked in with her castmates long after their seasons had ended, according to several of them. She remembered birthdays, one former contestant wrote. She would message you just to ask if you were okay. That's who she really was. Producers from Big Brother also released a statement honoring her memory, calling her a house guest whose humanity made a lasting impact on everyone who worked with her. Clips from the final interview have since circulated widely online. Fans have pointed to one particular line, now shared thousands of times, as the most heartbreaking of all. Near the end of the conversation, Lee smiled gently and said, "Life moves quickly after watching reality television. Eventually, the attention fades and you go back to being a person again. That's the part I actually loved, because it meant I got a second chance to live quietly. I'm at peace with who I became," she softly added. Friends say Lee had spent recent years focusing on personal growth, stepping away from public attention and dedicating time to family, charity work, and mentoring younger reality contestants struggling with sudden fame. After Big Brother, her journey was not always straightforward. She openly discussed dealing with anxiety, public criticism, and the pressure of being defined by a television edit. However, her close friends claim that she put in a lot of work to establish a grounded life away from the spotlight. Perhaps that is why the final interview has such profound resonance. It didn't feel like a goodbye at the time, just a reflective conversation about growth and perspective. Now it feels like a closing chapter written in her own words. Since then, fans have started organizing online memorial tributes to her, sharing their favorite moments from her season, like her awkward jokes during competitions, her late-night conversations with housemates, and her emotional eviction speech that first made people like her. In the end, Mickey Lee may not have won Big Brother, but many now say she won something more lasting: genuine connection. Her final message continues to echo among viewers who followed her journey. She said in the interview's final seconds, "We're all flawed. However, that's a life you can be proud of if you learn, if you become kinder after everything." Those words now stand as her lasting legacy for the millions of people who watched her story unfold, not as a reality TV character, but as a person who allowed herself to be seen despite her mistakes. Fans assert that Mickey Lee will never truly be forgotten.